So, liebe Gäste, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to welcome you to this edition of today's Global Leaders. Thank you very much for joining us, and I'm also welcoming our online audience watching us through the live stream. My name is Astrid Frohloff. I'm a TV moderator and journalist, and I have the pleasure to lead you through this event tonight. So, in this event series, we have had the pleasure to talk to many outstanding leading personalities from the economy, mainly from big business. And today, we are very proud to host a fantastic woman who is heading one of Germany's leading family-owned businesses. It's a great pleasure to welcome Bonita Grupp, managing partner of textile manufacturer Trigema. She took over responsibility just in January. Welcome, Bonita Grupp. The so-called Deutsche Mittelstand, medium-sized enterprises, are considered to be the backbone of Germany's industry. So it's going to be highly interesting to talk and discuss with Bonita Grupp about the challenges which these companies are facing, how she is managing the generational transition of her company, how she wants to shape the future, and how she develops her unique leadership style. We're looking very much forward to our discussion tonight. But before we'll start, I'm passing over the mic now to your hosts. First will be Martha Ilhbrock. She is Director of Corporate Communication at ESMT. And she will be followed by Helga Breuninger, Initiative Zukunftsfähige Führung. She comes from the fashion sales company Breuninger, and she used to be the head of Breuninger Foundation. So we're happy to have you with us tonight as well. And I'm greeting and welcoming Martha Ilhbrock.
Thanks, everyone. I don't have a whole lot to say. I just wanted to say welcome. Welcome from ESMT. It is our great pleasure to have this edition of today's Global Leader with Bonita Grupp. I have to say it's a first at ESMT. We are only women on the stage today. So diversity in the wrong direction, but it is women power today. I want to take the moment just to thank the Karl Schrecht Stiftung. They give us the funding for this great edition, so for this one, for twice a year. This is our third year, and I think, as they say in Germany, that means it's a tradition. So I hope it continues. Very exciting to work together with the IZF, the Initiative Zukunftsfähige Führung. We love working together with the colleagues from this organization to talk about leadership and what a real leader should be. So I really don't have anything else to say. I think that everyone else has much more interesting things to say. So I'm going to turn over to Helga Breuninger, and I really hope that you have a great evening.
Good evening, welcome from my part. I will talk very short stories about two leaders in my life. The one leader, my father, he was the third generation of the department store Breuninger. And in '62, we had been four kids, 3 daughters and 1 boy. And the boy should be the successor, of course. And he died in '62. And after his death, I thought, okay, I think I can manage the company. And I said, okay, I'm here. And so I studied economy, which I didn't want to study. I wanted to study anything else, psychology or politics, but not economics. But I did it to run that business. And then my father said to me, no, Helga, a woman can't lead a company. Oh, I said, and how do you organize your succession? Well, I had an idea. I do it like Robert Bosch. I give it to a foundation. Then I said, okay, then I run the foundation. So then I run the foundation. And running the foundation in Stuttgart, I believed in that my foundation was not really big, but we started in 2000 to create a community foundation in Stuttgart. And I said, this is a real smart idea. I run that community foundation with my Breuninger Foundation money. And we created a platform for the city with the companies, with the politics, and with the citizens. For all that big problems which a community can't really organize for, like refugees. So, and in this platform, the Community Foundation, I met Menno Harms. And this is the second leader I want to bring a short story of Menno Harms, because Menno Harms is the founder of the initiative Future-Oriented Leadership, EZF, so what I'm representing now. Menno was the former CEO of Hewlett-Packard. And when I met him, he was in the supervisory board of Hewlett-Packard. And 2013, he thought, why don't not enough leaders lead a company like I do it? It's all from top down, and it's very cognitive, and it's not really empowering people. So I will tell you how Menno Harms worked in his business. I think he had a three-story Hewlett-Packard, a three-story building. Yeah. Imagine your boss has no office, and he comes every week with a small desk in a part of the company and said to the group working here, okay, this week I will work with you. So he connected really deeply with his employees because he was working every week with another group. So really met the people, and this was a way of Menno Harms, his personality. I will describe him. Good-looking, smart-looking man, very charismatic, very authentic. You really believed what he said because he was honest. And he raised really interesting, he raised the best questions I ever know. He came to you, listened to you, he was a good listener, and he raised a question where you thought, okay, and that brought you really deep in yourself. He activated you with questions, and he deeply believed in the human potential and in collaboration. And what he really wanted to do in his company to bring that team spirit and to bring the people in a trust. We trust each other, we work together, and we love our company. It's not me, I make my money, that's we. We do that, we bring that company forward. And I think this made his company successful and the people happy. Yeah, and what makes the EZF, the initiative, special? Because Menno Harms wanted to bring all that leaders, which are good leaders, together in dialogue. No techniques, no only programs, it's the persons who have to learn from each other's role models. So this is my short introduction for the EZF. And myself, I started here in Berlin, our Berlin group, and we started a leaders lounge in the Q Club, and maybe the one of or the other of you have interest and join us in our Berlin's leadership leaders lounge. So I wish you a wonderful evening, and I hope that you will fascinate everybody.
Well, thank you so much, Helga Breuninger, for sharing your lovely stories with us. That was inspiring. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we are starting this conversation with setting the stage by an expert, by the ESMT. And as Martha Ilhbrock promised, there will be another power woman now come on stage. Bianca Schmitz is member of ESMT Berlin faculty. She has great expertise in leadership and innovation with a focus on mid-sized global market leaders. She is founding director of the Hidden Champions Institute, interesting, a member of the supervisory board of TÜV Nord, and she also serves as director of knowledge transfer at the Bringing Technology to Market Center. So looking forward to your opening remarks.
Thank you.
welcome also from my side, right? So when Molly asked me, a couple of months back actually, Bianca, Bonita Grupp is coming to campus, and would you do the intro? And I said, well, no matter what, of course, yeah? I make it happen. And it's really a pleasure doing the remarks, so doing the introductions here. And why is this the case? I think there are a couple of reasons why I truly enjoy this opportunity. First of all, yes, I'm a faculty member and I teach a lot around hidden champions. I teach a lot around their leadership, succession, around mid-sized companies. I'm really passionate about that, and I see a couple of known faces here that have gone through these sort of courses, just looking into your direction. And we have here one company, one representative, one successor that is represented in a lot of my lectures when I talk to international groups. And I use Trigema as an example very frequently due to a lot of different reasons. But today is not only about having the chance to exchange with you, Bonita, it's also perhaps signaling again and driving a bit more into our awareness the importance of family businesses here in Germany, and also the importance of doing a good succession management. Family business, and you said it, Astrid, they are the backbone of German economy. They are the heart of our society, I would say. So going a bit deeper even. They stand for stability, trust, and a vision that is often carried over generations. We have here the next generation of leadership at Trigema, a company founded more than 100 years ago. And Trigema for sure is, I assume, one of the well-known companies when it comes to clothing manufacturers here in Germany, specializing sports and leisure, were very famous as well, not only for the father. We can have a lot of discussions around his personality, for sure, but also for its commitment of producing 100% of its products here in Germany, with a strong philosophy of 100% made in Germany. The company has remained fiercely independent, resisting outsourcing pressures and maintaining production here in this country, emphasizing quality and sustainability, a topic that we today in our program also discussed. High quality focus, by the way, is a topic that is, or that has Trigema in common with a lot of German companies. Going broader, did you know that around 90% of all companies here in Germany are family businesses? They employ nearly 60% of all employees, train around 80% of their apprentices, and have a very significant contribution to the GDP. Looking at the top 500 family firms, and we talk about 3 million in general here in Germany, the top 500 family businesses employ 19%. DAX companies, 2%. These impressive figures underline once again how indispensable they are for the stability and prosperity of Germany. When we think about German economy, many people immediately think of these very large corporates, like the DAX companies. However, the true driving force behind our economic success are the medium-sized families, often referred to hidden champions, a term coined by Hermann Simon. These companies are very often less known, but are often world market leaders in their respective niche markets. They are characterized by innovation, by premium quality, a global footprint, and very deep roots in their region. Out of around 3,500 of these hidden champions globally, Germany has more than 1,500. What makes these businesses so special? Well, I already mentioned a couple of things. Only 20% are listed companies. The majority is owner-managed. And their focus is very long-term oriented. And while listed companies are often subject to high pressure of quarterly figures and shareholders, family businesses rather think in terms of generations. And this very long-term thinking and acting make them an example for the economy, but also for how to deal good in crisis situations. They invest sustainably in research and development. There are figures around 6–9% of their revenue into R&D. They invest heavily in their employees and in the communities in which they operate. This foresight contributes significantly to the stability of our economy and creates jobs, not only today, but also hopefully in the future. Another characteristic is their strong regional ties. Family businesses are often the largest employer in their region. They train young people, they promote local projects, and they contribute to the social and economic stability of their surroundings. They are not only economic players, but also social anchors in their community. We have one example sitting here in front of me. Bonita has taken this responsibility from a social perspective as well in her hometown, just recently taking over, as you told me, the responsibility in the district council. As mentioned, Trigema remains true to its location in Bolading, in the Swabian Alp. That's not only a commitment to quality, but also to responsibility towards the employees and the region. It's impressive if you think of having 1,200 employees in your company. You train a lot of young people. And what I found very impressive is that you even offer the next generation of your employees a place to work. Also, respect to diversity, more than 40 nations are represented working for Trigema. Your dad once said, for me, responsibility towards my employees and our region is more important than making a quick profit. Also something very important, it's not only about profit here, which is something that some of my participants, students from international contexts, not often get immediately. Because for them it's pure profit first and then perhaps let's see. But here we think differently. Trigema is not resting on its laurels. The company, as well as a lot of other family firms I work with, I do research with, are very innovative and rely on very state-of-the-art technologies in production. These companies invest in sustainability production processes, use environmentally friendly materials, and interesting show that ecology and economy are compatible. Trigema proves that as well with sustainable management and economic success at the same time, promoting each other actually. Now shifting a bit to succession. Trigema here as well is in very good company. Around 190,000 family firms are up for handover between 2022 and 2026. And succession in family firms is definitely special. There's an entire research stream around that. I don't open this topic now, but happy to share some of the material because it's about not only transferring ownership, it's about values, culture, and vision, and smooth transitions into longevity and competitiveness of these family firms. Nonetheless, bad news, statistically, only 10% of family firms make it to the fourth generation. Here, I think we have an interesting example of good succession. Why? Because Bonita and also her brother, they are already active in the company for a longer period of time, like gradually integrated into the leadership role. And when we look at the transition, I know it's been publicly well marketed, so to say. We could follow the transition very nicely in media. And I'm sure that both will find ways to balance the need of continuing the development within the company, might it be from a technological perspective, but also at the same time maintaining the values that this company has made very successful. You recently in an interview emphasized we want to preserve the tradition of our family firm and at the same time use the opportunities of digitalization to remain fit for the future. And this dual leadership approach with your brother suggests a division of roles that could combine in a very interesting way traditional and innovative strategies. Trigema, for me, is more than just a company. It is a symbol of what defines the German SME sector. Tradition, innovation, responsibility, value-based leadership, and sustainability at the same time. It shows us that it is possible to be successful by following own principles. We don't not necessarily look at Trigema only tonight, but at all the family businesses that make this contribution to the German economy every day, but also to international economy. They're somewhat the silent heroes who drive our country forward, create jobs, drive innovation. I hope that they remain the engine that kept our economy moving and will hopefully do so in the next decades to come. Let me finish with a short personal note. When we met for the first time, I told you Trigema is, so to say, part of our family, my family, for decades, I guess. In particular, my dad wears these clothes a lot. And as said, I love teaching around Trigema in my courses and use this as example. So thank you for being an inspiration and serving for content at the same time. And lastly, you said it so nicely, Molly. It's now like we have women here. And Bonita, I think deepest respect to you for taking this over. You're definitely a role model for a lot of young women, also young women represented here from our student body, because you have taken the responsibility of following on your date, taking the responsibility for the company, for the employees, and also taking responsibility for society, which is not something that a lot of people do going into politics as well. It's also a tough job. And I'm very, very happy to have you here, and now it's finally time to hand it over to both of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Bianca Schmitz, for, yeah, you come up upstairs already, it's fine. You're looking for the mic, yeah, we've got one here, you can take this. And I'm also would like to give you the chance to get another applause by the audience, because now is the official time that we ask Bonita Grupp to come on stage. So happy to have you here. Please take a seat over here, and I'm sitting here. And thanks again, Bianca Schmitz, for setting the stage so nicely and introducing Trigema with a lot of appreciation. As you said, 54 years, Trigema was led by Wolfgang Grupp, who is very well known publicly. Only in January this year, I think, he handed over the company to you and your brother, Wolfgang Grupp. So you are leading the company together now, which seems, in my eyes, not the easiest thing to do, as with a cooperation in the board. Was it clear from the beginning, Bonita, that you would take over the company one day with your brother or alone?
Well, thank you, first of all, for the invitation tonight here. I'm very excited to be a part of this program. Mm-hmm. Yes, well, my brother and me, we're very close, so that really helps that we understand each other very well. And then, so my father it was always his dream that one of us would join the company, or like at least both, and he never made a difference. Like, my father's from a different generation. He's over 80 years now, so, he was used to, other things, but I was always very happy that he never made a difference between my brother and me. He always supported us equally, and therefore he was really happy when we both said that we were going to join the company. And in the end, he always said, well, he wanted at least one of us to take over the company, and he wasn't never sure whether it was going to work within the team. But I think he saw us working together for the past 10 years and realized that that might be a good succession plan, especially as we have different interests. And I mean, as we are a manufacturer, so we only buy the yarn, and all of the other production stages are done within our company in our head main location. And therefore, we have many different areas for the company. So we do all of the distribution, all of the sales, everything in-house, the marketing, everything. So therefore, we have lots of different areas that we need to work on, and it's nice to have a big team. I also have to mention that my mother has been part of the company for over 30 years. She's part of our direct sales. I mean, she leads the direct sales, and she's always been a support for my father in the background as well. So we've always learned from childhood on what it's like as a team, actually.
Let me tell a little bit about your professional background. You studied business management at King's College in London and economic history at the LSE. And before you became managing partner at Trigema, you led the company's e-commerce and HR department for more than 5 years, I think. So you know basically the company from inside out. But how was it in January when you took over the whole responsibility for the company with 1,200 employees? How did the generational transition actually took place?
Well, thank God it was a gradual transition, because my father, I think it was now autumn 2 years ago, that he said, okay, he wants to slowly hand over, and the final date should be beginning of this year. So we had a bit of time to prepare, but because we've always been like a strong family team, and we've worked through different crises. I mean, since I joined the company, of course, one of the biggest one was the Corona crisis in 2020 that we sort of worked through as a family. And we therefore had the possibilities of work towards this date, beginning of January, but it was like a gradual transition, because already in the past, my father we always took major decisions together, and it was just him, because he was the owner, the sole owner back then, to then sort of present the idea. But it was he would never decide on anything without discussing with us first. So it was sort of always a team effort, and we sort of tried to continue that now.
And how is your father still involved in the company? What role does he play? Because he still gives interview. He was in a talk show recently. So is he still into business?
Well, I think after 54 years, you know, in this job, it would be a shame to sort of have to give it up from one day to the next. And we don't want him to do that, because he's got so much knowledge, especially in an industry that's not very common anymore in Germany. So we often exchange ideas. He still comes to the office every day. He still has, he does production planning still, so that's still one of the parts he kept. And it's nice, I think, for him to be there, and for us to have him sort of in the background. Whenever we have a question, we can come ask him, and he's there to support us. But unlike what some people maybe thought from the media, he really he doesn't want to get involved in anything unless we ask him to, and I think he's a very great support in the background, and that's nice to have, because it also makes the transition more gradual.
You talked about the co-leadership with your brother. How do you make decisions together about, you know, really relevant, future-oriented strategies? Who has got the last word in the end if you're not really agree with something?
Well, it's so far for the first year, it's been good that we've always managed to decide, but in the end there would always be my mother to sort of try to negotiate between us, yes. Since she's also she's got part of the shares, so yes.
Yeah, this helps. Okay. By the way, we are starting with the discussion here on stage, but you're invited to put questions later on as well, and I will be happy to feed your questions into our discussion. And also the online audience is invited to send us questions through the chat, and I will pass them forward. So one thing that has visibly changed at Trigema is the appearance of your famous monkey Charlie. I think most of you will know him from TV, right? So Charlie was your advertising figure on TV for decades, I think. Lots of people know him. And just a week ago, you launched a new spot series with Charlie, but now Charlie is different. Charlie is created by AI, and he became a fashion influencer, very funny. And you are planning to kind of spread these spots through social media mainly. So what's the idea behind this change of marketing or communication idea?
So in this sense, technology has really been on our side because the monkey has been our testimonial for many years, since the early 90s. At the beginning, he was a real monkey, and then so we did a few spots on TV with him, but then later on, now it's not very common to have animals anymore on TV, so or to have trained animals. So we already 2018 made him digital, and now through AI, we have the possibility to create him even in many different roles. That's also not as expensive as doing the digital way, because as you might know, if you're from the south of Germany, you're Swabian, you don't really spend much money on marketing. So we try to be efficient in that. And now through technology, we have the possibility to sort of put him into different roles, and also, of course, use him more on social media, because then it's more fitting for the.
And the idea is also to reach new target groups.
Yes,
as
also,
well?
also,
people?
yeah. Yeah, because before now we couldn't really use him on social media much. Yeah, but we had this time in I think it was 2017, 16, 17, where we didn't use him in our TV commercials, and we had a lot of customers complaining, so we took him back, and and now we can. Experience. He can get a different personality through. AI.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about your leadership style in the company. I was surprised when we had a Zoom call earlier. I learned that you did not have a separate office with a huge wooden desk and a thick floor or something, but you were sitting in midst your colleagues. So is this representative for the new way you are leading the company?
This is not really new. So my father has had an open planned office since the 1970s. Because
that was early, actually.
Yes.
Wow.
Because for us, I mean, we have 1,200 employees, but we only have about 40 in administration. So for us, because my father always said, you make your money in production and not in administration. You only lose it in administration. So we have to. Always have low hierarchies, and it's also part of our family business ethos that we say, anyone. Also employees from production, they can approach us in the family if there's a problem, if there's anything they need, and we need to be there, and we need to be there at the, seeing what's going on, I mean, we have a strong team, and because we have such low hierarchies, and also like not many administrative staff, we need to always work together. And if we're in an open plan office, then we can discuss about problems quickly. We can see what's going on. We can see whether there's a problem somewhere or something new happening. And we're a close team, and I think that helps. Especially, also we always say, we have no secrets. Yeah, there's everything. We can talk about most things in the company. So I think that also breaks down barriers.
Mm-hmm. Bianca mentioned the social responsibility of medium-sized companies in particular, and the role they are playing in the local context. How do you see your social responsibility? I think you know many employees since years and years. I mean, you have worked with the company. So how do you see this role for the company in your region?
Well, I think we have a high employee retention. So we have, on average, they've been with us for at least 16 years. We have many employees every year that get we award prizes for being with the company for 40, even 50 years. And for us, because we are still a very manual company where we need to, like if you. I don't know if a lot of you know, but if you sew, for example, every single seam you see on your shirt was passed through the machine by hand, yeah? Because there's no automation yet.
There's no automation to do this?
No.
Uh-huh. And why is that not possible?
Well, we're currently working on certain projects, but because for us it's not that we want to get want to exchange employees for the machine, but we just cannot get enough skilled workers in that area. Okay. And so we have 700 seamstresses and seamsters, and for this kind of this knowledge, is it's being passed on, but it's not as common anymore to have this, and it's the same in the fabric production. So we're very happy to have loyal employees that can pass on the knowledge to the next, and we can always work as as a team. And since we're located in the countryside, you know, people know each other. It's a nice community.
And how is digitalization affecting your business? If you say most things are done manually still?
It's because we're working with an elastic fabric. Therefore, it's very difficult to sew, for example, the shoulders or the rounds, because with the hand, you're still more, it's easier than with a robot. There's no robots yet to sort of grab the fabric. But digitization, of course, has had positive aspects. So in design, for example, we're going to use AI soon. We have 3D animations. In logistics, it's a big help. Even like within sewing, there is some sort of digitalization, as we've had every single sewing machine is connected to a tablet, so we can see the efficiency and whether there's a problem and where our product is currently staged. So there are advancements, but because we are one of the last companies that has a large sewing facility in Germany, we are, of course, for us, it's always important to look at, you know, technological advances, whereas if you have other countries where labor costs aren't so high, there might not be the importance on that point.
Before we continue talking about the strategy and the business itself, I would like to pass one question by Uta Menges from IZF. She asked about leadership. She asked, how do you manage the transfer of knowledge and experience from your father to you and your brother? Do you have a specific, more structured method, or is it based on a regular dialogue?
I think it's more based on a regular dialogue. So as a family, we have usually we have lunch together every day, where we talk about certain things. But then also, as I said, my father, he still has his desk in the office, so we can always approach him if there's anything. And we also have sort of tried to keep not many internal meetings, so that we're always free to be approached, and he has the same policy, or he passed that on. And I think he has lots of things that he can still teach us, but we are very lucky that we've been working together with him for the past 10 years. Yes.
Trigema claims to have certain strength. One is the state-of-the-art technology. You talked about the technology, social responsibility. We've talked about this as well. One important thing is that you're completing the whole production in Germany. This is, of course, a USP. And you are purchasing only in the European Union. So how do you maintain these skills, which is not easy to keep as a company?
The production skills?
The production only in Germany and not using, cheaper labor somewhere else, like many companies do.
Well, for us, having the production in one site, so we have our main production where we have all of the 4 stages. So knitting the fabric, dyeing, cutting, sewing, and then embroidery and printing. That's all in our main plant. But then we have 2 other plants in the region within 70 kilometers where we just do sewing, because having so many seamstresses and seamsters in one place isn't really possible. But because we have such a local production, we can react very flexible. So even though the price, of course, is higher producing in Germany, if a lot of customers approach us if they need something quickly. So if you say you have an event here next week, at the end of next week, you still need, 50 t-shirts with your embroidery, with your name. There's not many places you can go to get it. Also during the COVID pandemic, when after there were the problems getting parts and things from Asia, for example, we weren't really affected, so we could keep our production going all the time. And that's certain benefits. And also our customers, I think we're happy that our customers value the fact that they know where the product is manufactured. We offer production visits, and you can just see. Also, I think it's important to see how much effort still goes into a textile, into a piece of textile, because with a lot of very cheap imports coming, people don't really value the amount of effort that goes into producing.
That's true.
A piece.
For many years, the slogan "Made in Germany" was very, very important to us and had a great attractiveness all over the world. Many people think this is, going down, as Germany, as the economy is very weak now. So what do you think? What's your experience with the slogan "Made in Germany"? You described how this works with your local customers, but in general, do you think the "Made in Germany" is something which we are able to keep in the future?
Well, I hope if we try and keep the effort on, maintaining the quality and everything, then I think we can keep it up. But I think currently, as we all know, there are certain economic problems in Germany, and I think I'm hoping that we'll soon fix them. But yeah, to keep the sort of quality that everyone relies on.
Let's talk about something which I found really interesting when you told me about it. This is the fact that during the pandemic, you said it was a hard time for you and the company, of course, that during the pandemic you managed to keep your independence in your supply chain, and you purchased only in the EU and not abroad. So wasn't that difficult at that time to really, keep this and maintain this?
Well, I think like 90% of our products are sourced from the EU. There are certain parts that are only manufactured in Asia or China, for example, certain dyes or something. So sometimes we do need to, of course, also import from other countries. But during the pandemic, I think it really helped us that that we have these long-standing partnerships also with our suppliers.
Yeah. I would like to, actually, I can open the discussion now for you if you have got questions as well, because I see that we have got a lot of questions from the audience here, and I'm passing them forward to you instead of asking all my questions. One question is a very practical question. Well, when will Trigema open its store in Berlin? Is there any strategy behind not having a store here?
Well, I have to disappoint. We actually had a store here until end of May this year in the Mall of Berlin, but our experience there wasn't the greatest, so I'm not sure if we're going to have one here soon again.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Arvid Nienhaus is asking, which aspects regarding Mittelstandsunternehmen would you like to be more visible in the public in the future? Which ones would you like to promote regarding Trigema?
I think one important aspect that is part of the Mittelstand is just that it's what we really value is the employees and the team that we have, and that no matter where we are located in Germany, I think what's really important about the Mittelstand is that we also ensure the economic success throughout Germany, and we don't have certain hubs, but it's sort of evenly spread, and I think that's what we need to keep, and therefore I think it's important that certain laws and things that are made also, since we're located in the countryside, are not to a disadvantage to companies that are not located in sort of centers.
Mm-hmm. So you're invited to put questions as well. Just raise your hand and we pass the mic to you. Richan Kovac asked, when will the stores be designed the way Trigema presents itself in marketing? That was the monkey story, I guess. At the moment, the stores look very different to how they are presented to the outside world.
Yes, we have now 44 stores throughout Germany, and obviously we have, they've been around since the late 80s, 90s, and we are currently having a makeover, and I think 10 or so have already been redesigned, and it's slowly getting to the next ones.
Slowly get, okay, so I see you have a lot of plans.
And also I have to say the stores they're not like the stores that you have within a city, so we always have our locations in countryside areas, in areas next to sort of holiday destinations, and areas next to motorways, and there we sell for factory gate prices, so therefore there's not really the option that we don't have much margin to have like a super fancy store, and that's not our intention there. Yeah.
So you're not planning
it's more like a factory outlet.
Like more like factory outlet, you said.
Yes.
You're not planning to develop a branch of your label into a luxury version of.
Currently not in plan. Mm-hmm. No.
Okay. Let's talk again about the labor force. You mentioned that you have a very close contact to your laborers. You have 1,200 employees, and you told us that the employees come from over 40 different nations. in your company. So how does a company like yours integrate those many nations? How do you deal with them? What challenges is this producing as well?
So over the years, over the centuries, we've always had, the decades, we've always had different nationalities joining our area. So first we had, of course, Italians, then Turkish, then Eastern European. And now it's, now since 2015, it's been more, we had about 70 refugees that we've employed, because that area, especially Syria, Aleppo was a very highly textile region. So we had a lot of skilled labor that we thankfully received. And we offer German lessons, we offer housing. We've never really had a problem with communication or anything. I mean, now we have so many different languages anyway that we can help with translation, but also we try to, of course, keep German as our main language.
And how do you attract your workers? I mean, it's a very competitive market. How do you get them?
A lot of mouth-to-mouth feedback. So we have a lot of people that say, "Oh, can my friend, my cousin, my brother work here?" So I think that's already a positive feedback, especially if they feel, also happy in the region. Then we have we try. For us, of course, we're limited because also we have. Public transport isn't so well connected in the countryside, so we're dependent that the people sort of move into our area. Housing is also not very, there's also housing problems, so not much housing. So currently we're building tiny houses for our employees. We have flat shares. Whenever there's a spot free, it's already taken again. It's always pretty quick. That's how we try to attract, but we get also applications depending on the skill of the people from all over Germany.
Interesting. You're building tiny houses for your employees and then rent them to the employees. Yeah, that's a concept which is working, which is attracting people, because a lot of companies are trying now to attract employees this way, to offering housing.
One of the main problems currently is that you have someone and they're like, "Oh, but I can't find a flat or an apartment or somewhere to live," and that's what we realized. And since for the past 3 years, we've tried to grow in that area.
Okay. Helga Breuninger raised her hand for a question. You get the mic here.
Well, I learn the most when I hear people telling me how they solved a real big problem. So I would love to hear a real big problem you solved.
Yeah.
There aren't so many problems, obviously. She has to think of one.
Well, my father always told us if the problem's really big, then it's too late. You have to solve it when it's smaller. But I think real problems, I mean, of course, sort of one of the big problems that we have as a company is with the, aging population is actually finding the workforce. So we're lucky that currently we are finding more people than that are actually leaving the company. But I think this is a real big issue for us currently, and that's why we're trying to invest a lot also in digitization and automation, because especially in sewing. So if you take, for example, you have 1,000 t-shirts that you can sew within an 8-hour shift. Currently we need 12 employees to do this. And we're hoping that through automation, maybe we can reduce this and use the employees for more highly skilled or more difficult sewing work. So we're hoping to sort of combat through technology, through digitization, to sort of somehow manage this gap in lack of employees, because for us it's always a problem. We would like to, I don't know, sell more t-shirts or everything, but for us it's not possible because that's where the bottleneck is.
And you said so nicely, it's if the problem becomes so big, it's too late. So this means, on the other hand, that you have to foresee developments and things coming up, new trends. But in these times, it's not that easy, because especially the technological development is very quick, very fast, and it's not easy to foresee things.
That's true, but we try to sort of have trials and try it out once we know it's there and sort of work our way around it. It has worked so far, but we'll see.
You don't have a research department, do you?
No.
Okay. So there are more questions coming up here. So maybe the gentleman with the green shirt over there, please.
Yes, good evening, and thank you for taking the time. Bonita, what I would like to ask is, I mean, we're at a business school here. What is the Trigema growth story? And will Made in Germany, will that be the bottleneck to your growth story? Because you just said you are constrained by the number of people that you can find.
Well, we're working on it, that it's not becoming our constraint, and we still seem, we still think it's possible. But our growth story, if I understand correctly, is probably, I know we've always tried to, well, we want to have sell our customers a high quality product, and try and sort of have as much of the product manufacture as much of the product in our own house. So we have 78% of value add in our company, and therefore we have control of the whole value chain, which is also now in favor with the whole Lieferkettengesetz and everything that's coming. So, but I think for us, we always think, so for my brother and me, it's important for us to keep the company going. I mean, we've come a long way. So when my great-grandfather started, we started with male underwear, so the long underwear. And now we've developed into a sports and leisure company. I'm not sure, like maybe in 10, 20, 50 years, we'll manufacture something completely different. But I think the ethos of the company still has to be there. And yeah, we'll see how it develops. The revenue growth story, well, it's been stable. We haven't really had such big jumps, yeah. But we are happy, you know, if we manage to meet last year's numbers.
Okay, there are more questions over there. Could you pass over the mic? Yeah, please.
I have a question regarding labor. As you said, you think that you will not be constrained by the labor. But as we see, or as we hear in the news, current government want to increase the minimum wage to 15 euro and to be at 60% of average salary. Do you see a long-term risk for your company to be constrained by the socialism initiatives of current government or maybe future governments? And do you consider moving actually to Eastern Europe or Asia?
No, we're not planning on moving. I think so far we've always managed to we've always had wage rises, and we've always managed our way to continue our production. But I think what's important is not the minimum wage, but the importance that we think is important is that the working actually has to have a value again in Germany, because a lot of it is taxed. A lot of people think, oh, you know, I'm not going to take the job because I'm just going to live off state benefits. And I think that's the important, that's the thing that the government has to work on, because also if you have overtime, you know, there has to be a benefit for the employee to actually work overtime, and currently there isn't much. And I think that's what's really sort of that's not really supporting the economy in general in Germany, and I think that's what we have to work on. We're not really scared of a higher minimum wage.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there's another question. Who was it? Could you raise your hand? Yeah, the lady over there, please. Yes. Okay, then I get you. So maybe you start. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for being here. I have a question regarding your political work. What are the differences between a leading position in a company and in local politics? And which kind of knowledge could you bring from your company work to politics and the other way around?
Well, I have to say the political work is still fairly new, so I've only had a few meetings on that. But I think
maybe we should explain first of all a bit about this. You are engaged in local council in the Kreisrat. You have been just elected as vice chairwoman of the finance committee, right? So you are really deep into local topics and issues now. So maybe you can explain, what does this mean for you, and how is your work influencing the political work as well?
I think one thing that you have to get used to is that if you're in a mid-sized company and you sort of have a problem or an issue, you speak about it and you find a solution, whereas in politics that's not so easy because you have so many different parties that, try to find one way and you have to negotiate. So it's a bit different, that side. But I think why I took this step is because for us, especially as a region, it's important to stay a strong region, to be attractive for our employees. And I think a lot of people are complaining about politics. And if you don't set an example and take the step yourself and say, okay, don't just complain, but maybe try and do something about it. I think that's sort of the signal that I wanted to send, and I'm very happy that also my brother is very supportive of that.
Yeah, because this is also a bit time-consuming, right? Yeah.
Yes, but it's local, so I don't need to travel that far.
And it pays back to the company in the end, hopefully. Yeah. Okay, there's another question, please.
Yes, good evening. My name is Samantha Mathieu. Thank you very much for your kind insights. And being here in the Mall of Berlin, a fan of your shop, actually, I was always wondering why it is there, because it is not exactly matching the concept of the store. So maybe you have new ideas coming up to enter the market in Berlin too, and also hub your knowledge from the financial point of view towards the local markets here.
Yes, well, the Mall of Berlin was in 2014. We were told this was the place to go, so that's what we did. Now, but I have to always say, I don't know, Berlin is always, because it's such a large city, you're never quite sure. People say, oh, I'm in this Kiez and I don't go to this Kiez, and you never know exactly where to meet everyone. So that's why we've decided that maybe our strategy wasn't so wrong, that we always go to holiday destinations where we can try and have customers from all different cities in Germany. And also, if you're on a holiday, you're also in a happy mood. You tend to shop more. You tend to spend a bit more, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, more questions. In the last row, please. Could you pass the mic quickly to the very last row? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. Just out of curiosity, according to statistics, 2 out of 10 businesses make it to the 3rd generation. That is family businesses. What is the secret behind your success story? I don't know, probably family, probably it's a well-knit family, because sometimes very few family businesses make it to the 3rd generation, not to talk of the 4th generation. What's the secret to your success? Thank you.
It's a different story, but we are entre nous, so just tell us the secret.
I mean, I think what my brother and me were very fortunate was that our parents always included us in the business, sort of from an early age. So we always knew what was happening. I mean, we lived close by, but even when there were good times or there were maybe difficult situations, they always told us about it and involved us, and sort of the product was never foreign to us. We always knew what was happening. We were involved from a small age. We were helping out in the shop, in the logistics, anywhere. So I think they sort of made us apart very early on, and also showed us sort of what value there is to the product, to the business, and also that it's sort of what value there is to being an entrepreneur. And I think that was very fortunate for us that they took us on their journey as well.
Mm-hmm. So who would like to put another question? Bianca? Yeah, we need the mic again in the first row, please. Okay. So, and also the online audience is invited to send us more questions. If you want to, just use the chat function, please.
Perhaps 2 questions here. So what was the reaction of the employees when they heard about you 2 taking over? And the second question, how would you like to be perceived as a leader within Trigema?
So I think for the employees, I mean, I'm guessing they didn't say it to our face, but they, I think they were happy that sort of, there was a continuation already. We felt it when my brother and me joined, because my father already, he was, when we joined, when he was 72, so he was already in an age where other people would have retired. So they were happy to see that, there's a succession, that, there's a continuity to the business. And as we always know, it's always, for employees, they always like it to stay in the family as well, because then they sort of know, or at least they hope that, it continues the way it's been, and there's not an investor that maybe says, okay, we're going to shut down the plant or anything. So I think for them it was a positive signal, because it's also important, I think, when you apply to a company to see, oh, there's a future, and I think that's what we wanted to set as well. To be perceived as a leader, I think, is very early on. I mean, I'm still learning. So, but I think what my brother and me both, what we want to try and show that it's possible to do this work together, and also to try and show that it's still possible to keep a production company in that area, an industry that's not common anymore, to try and sort of take this kind of company to the next generation.
So, are there more questions? Yeah, here in the first row, if you pass over the mic. Thank you very much, Bianca.
Thank you. Thanks for your insight, Bonita. My question is about supervisory or advisory bodies. Do you have established such a structure internally at Trigema, and how do you collaborate?
No, we don't have such a structure, so I'm still happy. I mean, as I said, I'm happy to have my family as advisors. But what we do is we have also, I have a sort of a network among other family business friends and people I know, that if there's certain problems, if you ask, okay, how do you go on about this problem? Because also as a mid-sized company, you also often don't want to speak too much about sort of like professional advisors and things. It's always costly as well, and you want to have the hand-on approach. So whenever there's a problem, you try and also find in your network solutions at times.
So I'm passing forward another question from Uta Menges. She is writing, I'm impressed by the numbers regarding employee retention. What are, in your opinion, the most important influencing factors to keep employees for so long at the company? And how does this relate to your today's topic of leadership?
Well, I think what my father, especially in his over 50 years at the company, has always showed us is that no matter what the crisis, what the situation, what the economic situation there is outside, you have to sort of, you're loyal to your employees, because they're the ones, who are doing the work. You cannot do it yourself. You're there as a team. It's a team effort, and even though when there's an economic downturn, it's not their fault. I mean, as a leader, you have to sort of navigate around it and find solutions. So even during COVID, when we knew, okay, on the 18th of March 2020, 50% of our sales are gone from one day to the next because our stores had to shut in Germany, my father gave a speech to the employees and said, no matter what's coming, we don't know what's coming in the next few weeks. We've never had this. It's the biggest crisis in his work life, but we'll get through this as long as we're working together as a team. And we then started to make face masks, and we said, okay, as long as, it could be that, you have to maybe help out in another department because your department doesn't have any work. As long as, we work together and we all aim to, sort of drive the business forward, then that works. And we realized that a lot of people were just, behind us and supporting us. And I think that really helps, that no matter if it's a positive time, it's all good, but even in negative times, if you work together, and then you really have the support. And I think that, yeah, really made a difference in these times. So can we get the mic here in the second? You've got one. Okay, so please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I have big respect for you and what you and your family are doing. And looking forward, that's the question, what you want to change. Do you have any strategic goals which you will be following in the next 3 years or something?
Well, as we always ask sort of also what we want to change now, I think it's it would be bad to say we now have all the changes, since we've been working with the company for 10 years, and it's, you'd always be like the sort of silent listener, and now then you're at front stage, you want to change everything. I mean, we have always, my brother and me, we've always tried to set our footmark already before, sort of, because if you want to continuously attract employees, if you want to have a new customer base, you always have to, it has to be a constant change, and therefore we've constantly tried to adapt. So, I mean, obviously we have also issues that come with the times, and we have certain digitization projects, everything that would not have maybe been possible 3-4 years ago, and we always have to constantly evolve and sort of take the journey, but there's no drastic changes that we are. Of course, there's new there's markets that we can explore, but we've always tried that step by step. So just last week, we've opened a new store in Leipzig. That was the first sort of store that my brother and me decided on. My father was skeptical about it because he was like, okay, already we have problems meeting our production targets. Is it right to open a new store? But we always said that we see this as a key area, and now the start was quite successful, so we hope this continues. So there are certain times where we also differ. He was also not very supportive of me joining politics, but I think that's always a difference, where you always have different ideas, and I mean, different generations, and that also what keeps a business going.
Are there more questions? Somebody raised the eye, it's you, please.
One question regarding staying in Germany. One of the main driver is innovation. My question is to you, how do you get inspired of new innovation, and maybe your brother, your family?
Well, sort of, I mean, fashion styles, you get inspired whenever you see them anywhere, but through innovation in products, we work together as well with closely with our suppliers that then offer us new technologies. We also we get approached by a lot of people, especially through LinkedIn, via mail, that write to us if they have a new idea, for example, for a sustainable idea. So currently we're working on how to use more recycled cotton, how to maybe produce the parts so that they're more easily recyclable in the future. We've developed one of the first biodegradable shirts. So we always try to be there and always try to see the environmental aspect as well in the products, but always try to focus as well on the quality. And I mean, always innovation in the textile industry, there are certain innovations, but it's obviously not as fast changing as in other businesses.
Maybe you can elaborate a bit about the challenges you are facing as a company. You mentioned the complexity of the textile production. What about water consumption? What about energy consumption, the high energy prices? How is this affecting your business, and what is your strategy towards this?
So 2 years ago, we had a big problem on this because we are highly gas dependent, as we use a lot of steam in production. So maybe that's an innovation now where we're trying to work together with our machine suppliers to reduce the amount of steam that we need. So when we buy new machinery now, especially in the fabric production, that's the most energy intensive area, we try to, of course, avoid using only steam, which for over a century was always common in textile production. We've also tried to sort of move away from just using gas to having more sources. We've also increased the amount of solar, so now we can have 30% of our energy that comes from solar energy. But obviously, as we're such an energy intensive in fabric production, we cannot just use solar. We'll see what hydrogen does in the future. We don't know whether our area will be connected to the hydrogen system.
But could this be indeed a good alternative in your eyes?
Well, that's what that's what the gas turbine manufacturers always say, but we don't know yet. So currently, we just have to balance it out and use different sources. And we've always tried to find workarounds and quick wins also with our machine suppliers. maybe sometimes we should have maybe done that a bit earlier than just wait for the energy crisis, but we're working on it, and it's there are some successes already.
So there's another question, please.
My name is Max Brendel. I'm curious from your parents to you and your brother, what has changed in terms of life balance or other soft factors?
Well, I think every generation has their different sort of leading style. So my father's generation was different to his father or grandfather. But I think what we've learned more is we have a more even. My father was already he decided all of the important decisions with his team of head of departments, but I think for us it's even more to work as a team. There aren't that many, I mean, I wouldn't say there's such drastic changes because, as I've said, we've been part of the company for many years, and yeah, I mean, obviously we use technology more. My father would have never organized a Teams meeting, but yeah, I guess that's also a generational topic.
Okay, are there more questions here in the audience? Otherwise, I'm taking another questions from the online chat. Wolfgang Hummel is asking, regarding costs, due to a labor cost gap compared to Vietnam or Bangladesh, how much are your customers ready to pay more for made in Germany?
Well, I think a lot of people are always surprised that our product isn't actually that much more expensive if you take another branded product, because we just don't have such a big margin for marketing. So we try to have, that's why we try to have every very low costs in marketing and administration, that we can deliver the customer the same product, the product at a high quality, but for a fair price. And also what we try is that since we have I think for us it's important to see the employee as I mean, let's say in order to keep the costs also at a certain price, we have to manufacture the whole year round. So no matter whether it's season or not, our machines are running, and therefore we have also the risk that we obviously have a lot on stock, but therefore we also have the flexibility to deliver on non-stop. So we often keep the stock for our large customers and manage it, and yeah, so we try to use all of the benefits that we have, all of the resources that we can, and that's how we manage. And also we try to avoid costs that we obviously find not necessary, and yeah, maybe our Swabian mentality helps with that as well.
There's another question here. Where is the mic? Can you raise your hand so we'll see you for the mic? Okay.
Do your family values help you in working in politics? And if they do so, how?
I think that the values, they do help and they've shaped me. So, but to be fair, I don't think I've been long enough in this area. So I've only been there for 2 months. So it's, yeah, I can't really say much on that topic yet.
Let's talk about your personal resistance. I mean, you are now not only, you took over the business, you have responsibility for the business, you are engaged in politics. This will probably be enlarged in the next months and years. So how do you personally gain resistance and strength? In the past, we had other leading personalities sitting here, and all of them are saying, yeah, we need, physical fitness as well. Is that for you valuable as well?
Well, I think what helps with all of this is that, of course, during the week when I'm at the company, we're based in the countryside, so I don't have many distractions around me, apart from maybe going for a run or something, yeah, so more healthy distractions. So I think that helps. And also, I mean, what I always found nice was that in a middle-sized company, you don't have this, of course you have, my brother and me, we always say, whenever there's something, anyone can call us, we're always there, yeah, we're always here to be reached. But there's not this mentality that, I need to get this done like obviously as soon, but there's not this stress that there is in other areas. So I think we're very fortunate on that. And yeah, try to keep sort of, I think when there's a problem, we discuss it as a family, but we try not to. I think my father was always very helpful in this. Even when there were difficult situations, he talked about it with us, but he always said, you know, also keep your time to sort of get distracted, not to always overthink everything, you know, because sometimes if you sleep 1 or 2 nights over it, it might help as well.
Mm-hmm. In the past, you have been responsible for social media in the company as well. How do you handle this topic? What's your approach to social media now in terms of managing public perception and interacting with your customers and also dealing with critics maybe?
So our social media approach is different to other fashion brands, because what we say is that, you know, we can actually show how the product is manufactured. We can give a face to the people that are behind the product. And I think that's what's highly valued by our community. But of course, there's also critical there can be critical feedback, but we try to learn from that and also interact with our community. And what we've also learned in general with customer feedback, if I can spread it to that, it's you know, you always have to be close to the customer. So even during COVID, we have this hotline where, you know, you can call and say, oh, you know, I've got a problem with my online order. Because online was the only place where we could sell. We had the idea in the family that we would expand the hours, and on the weekend it would be us and the family taking on the calls. So it could be that I'd be, I don't know, out for a walk with my father, and then he'd had to, I don't know, he was on the phone and I had to write down the order in the snow or something. I don't know, and take a picture of it if I didn't have anything to write or like my phone there. So we always try to be hands-on and, you know, help the customer, and I think that's important.
Mm-hmm. But it means there is no really border between work and leisure and free time?
I think it's, I mean, if you enjoy your job, you know, it shouldn't be a burden, it should be more like a hobby, so yeah.
Should be. Okay, are there more questions by you? Yeah, over there, please.
Thank you very much. To understand you and your leadership style maybe a bit more, what gets you up in the morning, would you say, and what keeps you up at night?
I have to say, I'm probably not the best person to speak about morning routine, because I can't really, I'm really bad at getting up in the morning, but I have to force myself. But I think what keeps me going is, I think also the positive attitude. So whenever there's a problem or anything, I think it's nice to have a team that you can rely on. And also for me, what's important is sort of the team I have with my brother, because I know whenever happens, we speak the same language. And I know, for example, next week he's on holiday, and I know that he trusts me with the decisions I take. So I think that's I'm very lucky and fortunate in that. And also what keeps me up at night is sometimes, of course, so last week when we had when we launched our new marketing campaign, I was just hoping that, you know, the technical things would work, that our shop wouldn't, I don't know, have a weak moment, that everything would work as planned, and that's sort of what kept me going, what kept me awake at times. But otherwise, I think I'm a good sleeper, and I just have, I think, new ideas that we can. Also, one thing that's nice about our company is that when we have new ideas, since we have the low hierarchies and the strong team behind us, we can always, you know, push the ideas through very quickly. So, as I said, when we switched to mass production, we could do that within 48 hours. We switched 80% of our production, and that was a real team effort. But because everyone was behind it and everyone was there to prepare to put their effort into this project, and I think that's also what keeps us going.
Are there more questions? Yes, 2 questions here. First you and then you.
I'm asking a question for a startup. Is renting clothes for you a business case?
I think, well, renting clothes, I think I've heard of the case for ball gowns or tuxedos, but I'm not sure if it's the same for leisure wear yet. At least, I mean, underwear I think wouldn't be in the question, but maybe t-shirts, because it's not such a high-priced thing, and it's more of the items we sell you can combine more often and wear more often. So I think it's more something that you'd want to keep, but I'm not sure what the future holds, so we'll see. We're always open for new ideas.
Thank you.
Okay, so please pass the mic.
I have a very obvious question. You spoke about being an entrepreneur. You are a female entrepreneur. This country does have female entrepreneurs, but not as many as we probably would like to have. And some of them are not really keen to step out into the public. And I'm really interested. I just spoke to a female CEO and asked her, would you be willing to be more out in the open to kind of encourage people and young women? And she looked at me and she said, you know, I would like to, but I've got a full job to manage, so really I don't have the time, and it's not one of my priorities. Fair enough, but I'd be interested, what's your stance on that?
Well, yes, I mean, for us in the family, we always said, okay, we're open to speak about the topic, but of course, time management is an issue. So I guess you have to be selective of where you speak and when you speak. I mean, social media, of course, has been a positive on this, that you can also voice your opinions and everything, from just sitting on your desk at home. So that's been more easy. But I think, yeah, it is a time management, but I guess, and also the topic, it has to be a topic that you want to talk about. So also me, I don't like to talk about any sort of topic. And also what I'm not a fan of is whenever people are, oh, we need someone to speak about this topic. And I'm like, oh, it's not really my topic. Maybe approach my brother. They're like, but we want a woman. I'm like, nah, no, not me.
Are there more questions? Please.
Yeah, handy with the microphone. First of all, thank you very much. I really enjoy hearing leaders speaking in as positive a way about running a manufacturing business in Germany. That's really inspiring. And overall, you hear a lot of pessimism in the German industry about doing business in Germany. How energy costs, bureaucracy, lack of skilled workers, increase in social security contributions. And my question is, what is your view on actually the location Germany for running successful business, and what would be your #1 call to politics for any changes that would make it even easier for you to run your business in a successful manner?
Well, I think in general it helps if you have a positive mindset, and no matter what problem you have in your way, you say, okay, we'll try and find a way around it. Because if we wouldn't do this, then already my father would not have been present with the company by now, since in our area we had, or like in our town alone, we had 26 textile manufacturers until the 80s, and now it's just us left. So I think you always have to try and be positive and find a way. But currently, I can feel it also with the customers. There is sort of a negative feeling. People get annoyed very easily. I mean, they also get annoyed very easily about certain things, about a piece of clothing, which I'm thinking, okay, it's not life-threatening, but okay. But they, so I also feel it with our employees, especially at the shop front. As our saleswomen, they get a lot of a negative environment. I think that's I think there has to be some, as a society, we have to try and, feel positive about certain things again, because it's just dragging down everyone's mood. So I'm hoping that there are going to be certain aspects, and whenever I talk to people, they always say, there needs to be the work I'm doing, it has to be more valued again, and I think it has to be valued in the sense that most of the people that do a lot of hard work in our country, at the end of the month, they have to realize, okay, there is actually more money in my bank account because I have put a lot of work into it. And I think that's the sort of the area that the politics needs to sort of look at, and also, to sort of try and see, okay, we have this problem, but we're tackling it, and we have a way forward. And because if we would not have, if we've always had this sort of sentiment in the country that we take things on and we try to learn from it and we move forward over. Otherwise, after I always hear from my father, after the Second World War, we would not have generated this kind of economy that we have right now and that we live from right now. And in order to preserve it, we need to try and work on it. And I think there needs to be a switch, sort of, hopefully soon, that we try to move forward and make the best of it and take on the challenges.
I think that's very encouraging. Talking about encouraging, Bonita, time is running out now, but I have one last question for you. As we are at ESMT and there are a lot of young professionals sitting here, what would be your recommendation to young professionals who would like to have a leading position later on? What are the skills which are needed? What are the ways you should go?
I think what I've learned is one important skill is, of course, listening, yes, and speaking, because there are a lot of things that people, wouldn't want to talk about or think maybe it's not the right occasion, but it actually affects the job. And I think to sort of be approachable for your employees or the people that work in your department, I think is very important.
Well, thank you so much. Well, we're coming to the end now, and I must say, I think you were right, the statement from this gentleman over there, despite the very often pessimistic view on Germany and German economics. It was so wonderful to hear your optimism and you hear your, your strength and the way you are taking. So thank you very much for being with us today. It was really inspiring talking to you. Thank you very much, Bonita Grupp. And of course, we wish you a lot of success with your business. Looking forward to new spots with Charlie. Hope to see you in Berlin once again with a store. And thank you very much for joining us today. Now I would like to invite you on behalf of the organizers for our reception. We can continue our talks with you as well. You're staying a little bit, so enjoy the evening. And thank you very much for being with us tonight. Thank you.